Hello, welcome to the Out of the Box Developer. Here we're starting another session, and today we decided to talk about some cool tools that is powered by AI, so it can improve our productivity or our daily tasks. And since we are having all these hype around AI things regarding to the chat GPT and all other stuff. So yeah, that is a great moment to actually call our specialists here and yeah, and share what they actually are using or trying out to improve their productivity. So let me call first here our AI specialist and Java champion is Mani Sarkar. Hey Mani, how are you?
Hey, Hugo, I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me here once again at another session.
Thank you, Mani. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of different things to show today, right?
Yeah, and I think it's not just going to be us. It's going to be the community, the audience, who's going to drive us, right? So I am looking
Sure.
forward to lots of comments, suggestions, ideas, tips in the chat, and then you and Pedro and I, we will pick them up and we will arrange them and we'll show them in what's now to come, the mind map. But I won't say more about that. I'll hand it over to you.
Great. And since you mentioned Pedro, let me just call him our architect here. Pedro, hey Pedro, how are you?
Hey, hello Yogo, hello Manny. Thanks for
Hello,
having
hello,
me
hello.
here. Yeah, today we have lots of good stuff here. Like, I think uh, I can say that I will be looking at the LinkedIn chat as well as we cannot have it here. So if you are in the LinkedIn, you can send your comments. We'll be watching to here. So no, don't wait to send any comments.
And the
Yeah.
comments will be things like suggestions, tips, ideas on the topic we have today. So,
Yeah.
as we had decided that we're going to do some sort of a, a, a mobbing, if you know what a mobbing is in software development, we'll be doing something similar where we'll be sourcing our ideas and putting it onto a mind map.
Cool.
Interesting. And talking about comments, I think we have the first comment here.
Oh, I saw
Thank
that. It
you.
was Maximilian, right?
Hey Max, how are you? Good evening. Hello, hello.
Oh, maybe
Yeah.
he'll be the first person to give us some tips. So why don't we get started unless you want to do some warm up before that? And I don't mind. Pedro, you go. Do you want to warm up with something or say something, or should we just start working on our mind map?
So
Whichever works. I'm
yeah,
flexible.
let me just say here. So if you're watching us, please send a message here, say hello, and tell us from where you are so we can actually interact with you. And yeah, as Mani said, we want to share some of the tools that we have been using on our day to day, or something that was helpful, and I believe that can be helpful for you too.
Hmm.
Yeah, Mani, do you want to start with your tool first?
Yeah, so let's do the mind mapping first. But also, we want to keep some time. So I think either of you should watch the clock. We want to show Hugo's creation in the background, what he's been doing with prompting, and the repository developed using what is it called? Semantic kernel.
Semantic kernel? Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever you can show, you can walk us through. If you can run something, that'll be great. But
Mhm.
let's get started without any further ado. I'm sure if people are not familiar with what mind mapping is, what I'm going to do is there's always this interesting link that I have to share with people, which tells us what is mind mapping, right? So and you can also ask your favorite ChatGPT client what mind mapping is. It'll tell you as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a link which shows all the images of what a line or a mind map is, and I'm going to also share a link with all the with the text that describes what mind maps are. So if you can share this with the rest of our good folks, that'll be great. I'm just gathering. So yeah, it'll be great to also get an idea of what mind map is in written text, because some people are some people learn through visuals, and some people learn through written text, and some are both. So I have both here. And mind mapping is, just to give a little bit of a background, mind mapping is actually a learning tool. So if you're learning something, watching a video, tutorial, reading a book, you name it, anything to do with reading, and you want to capture what you've learned, you use this tool called mind mapping. And you can do it on pencil and paper, but you can also do it online or through a desktop app. These days everything's available. Even Google Drive has mind mapping apps, and I've been using that for great. So then when you create your mind maps, you can share it with your community or share it with other users, and others can collaborate in the mind map, and they can add to it just like a Google Doc. So and when I start doing it, and of course I'm not an expert in it, but I've learned it through watching other people, but there are others who do it really well. But it's a very open, flexible tool and system, and you develop your own rules on your own system. There's nothing saying there's only this way of doing it. So what you're doing is, if you've read a big book, or you're reading a book, whilst you're reading the book, you're drawing mind maps, and you're plotting and capturing the different details that we're getting. And when I will be doing the mind mapping, you'll see how I go through. Sometimes I will do some things that'll feel intuitive, and sometimes I'll take your ideas, and sometimes a bit of both. So since we've shared the links already, why don't we get down to doing the real stuff? So this is our basic skeleton. I have not filled in anything. All I did is I put in the theme of what we're going to be working on today: AI open source tools, right? Because the title has these three keywords in it. Hence, I said, why don't we split these keywords into different sections, right? So obviously, that means we will say, and I don't want to be biased, but we'll say, why don't we put AI somewhere? You need to put AI somewhere. Why don't we put open source somewhere? And why don't we put tools somewhere, right? That's how I would start. So what comes to your mind that you worked on that has to do with any one of these or all of these in combination? Let's say in the world of tools, what tools come to your mind? And think about a tool and AI and open source, or AI or open source, either of them.
Eclipse IDE.
Yeah, okay. So IDEs, right? This is an Eclipse. So you see, I didn't just write Eclipse, I wrote IDE, and I'm going to unzoom a little bit. What else comes to mind? So, well, we cannot forget there's IntelliJ. And then there's NetBeans as well. But some people like, these days, VS Code. And I love my Sublime Text.
Sublime Text.
Yeah. There you go. Right. We can also write sentences and stuff like that. Just now, it's just going to be keywords. What comes to mind when you say AI? I know somebody said ChatGPT. That comes under generative models. And then it is GPT. And then from there, it's ChatGPT. So you see, when we are trying to classify things or put some words in this map, we can actually reorganize them. And these are not set in stone. Huh? I can actually move this here.
Oh.
Right. So that's the beauty of it. None of this is set in stone. And I can delete all these nodes, but they are there as placeholders. It's all visible. I hope the text is visible and it's not. And this tool is really great. See, I can actually navigate through the map like a map. So I can not only zoom and unzoom, but also navigate and pan through it. Okay, what else? Open source. What comes to mind with open source?
Jakarta EE.
Okay, so Jakarta EE would come under Java, right?
Semantic kernel.
Semantic kernel.
Yeah. So that would be But semantic kernel will also be under AI, isn't it?
Yes.
So, and that would
Yeah,
come under
to-
something called
for
prompting, right?
AI, yeah, to use
Prompt
AI.
engineering, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I'm not able to classify it very well now, but we'll just leave it for now, and we can always correct it.
Yeah. Like GitHub Copilot, for example, it could be AI
Yeah,
and could be IDE.
Might be two. Two.
Copilot, did you say?
Yep.
Yeah. Andres Alcajar is here in LinkedIn. He's saying, well, Eclipse and NetBeans are also open source, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. We don't want to. Yeah, it is open source, but just now we want to just classify them as simple as possible. In any case, if you see what I mentioned here, ChatGPT and generative models, and say, for example, GitHub Copilot also falls under open source in some sense. And then semantic kernel is open source, but semantic kernel is also under prompt engineering. So, I mean, I would not put semantic kernel here, for example, because it's more relevant here. So you learn this as you keep doing. As I said, there are no rules, and there are ways to link it as well, which I am not going to show you just now. It will just make it complicated, where you can actually show that this one topic is coming from two other topics. Okay, I think there's a lot of knowledge on open source and people know about it. So why don't we talk about more things on open source? There's GitLab as well.
GitLab.
Max just shared here that JBang is working with ChatGPT too, and Code Whisper as well.
So JBang would come under Java, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yes, and we could create some sort of a link between. Let me see how you do that. Link to. Okay, so here it is. So I can get a link from. Did you say ChatGPT? So I can get a link
Yeah.
from here. So copy link, and I can say link to. Let's see how I do that, and see how it works.
Mm-hmm.
You see that?
Hmm.
So that is linked to that. So when I click on that, it takes me
You
to
can
ChatGPT.
Oh,
Right?
this is cool.
Yeah. So we can do the same thing. And the point is not to complicate it by, see, this is a tool you're using to simplify things for yourself, to remember things, to link things. You don't want to start creating complicated links in the beginning. That's the skill. I'm not an expert, but that's what I would do. So to keep it simple first, to keep it one level and not link. Yes, and if you think it's important, then just create a link. But for everything, if you create a link, then your mind map will get too claustrophobic, or what's it, too noisy and hard to interpret.
Is this tool has any like limitations? So like creating 1, 2, 3? Or...
No, you can do as many as you want. It's the user whose limitation has a limitation here, not the tool itself. The tool is all good. Yeah. Okay.
I didn't know that this is a
What
mirror
about what about? So we had generative models. What about Midjourney? Remember, you all playing with Midjourney. What else did you play with?
Stable Diffusion.
Stable Diffusion.
So is Stable Diffusion coming under generative models?
Yes.
Right. So even if you get the classification wrong, so when you say Stable Diffusion, I think there are two things, right? Let's find out what Stable Diffusion is. There are two things actually, from what I understand. It's a technology. Okay, so there's something called Stable Diffusion, refers to gradual, right? And there's also a website that's called Stable Diffusion. So Midjourney uses Stable Diffusion models, right?
Actually don't know. Bard.
Okay, let's
keep it. Andres Algaraz is saying Bard. Yeah.
Bard is under generative models.
Yeah.
So let's keep it. Yes, it'll be under GPT. Let's keep these separate. It's okay to keep them separate because once we learn, we can change, as we've noticed already. Yeah, okay, open source. I forgot to put our.
I think I can add the tab 9 as well as we discussed here.
Aha, good one. Where will you put tab 9?
Yeah, GitHub Copilot we put under AI. Maybe we can put like AI IDE tools or something. Generative code.
So that comes under generative models, right?
Yeah, but for
So code generation, because I think in some sense it can come under GPT.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Max is saying DALL-E and ChatGPT is from OpenAI. And DALL-E is an image generator tool. Yeah, DALL-E is an image generator tool.
So DALL-E will come. So that's a good one. DALL-E.
But DALL-E is not a GPT. That is for images.
Yeah, so it's still under generative models, right?
Maybe we can create an images classification.
Right. Yeah. Image generation.
Image generation. Yeah, and put DALL-E, Midjourney.
I have a sense that I might have made a mistake here, but I'm not worried because as we keep classifying and finding, you'll notice we will find our mistakes and be able to fix it. That's the whole purpose of process of learning. When so you can imagine if you're reading a book, technical, non-technical, you name it. Of course, if you really want to capture the idea and gist of the book, you can understand how useful that becomes, right? Also put code snippets here, which I haven't done. You can put links to code snippet. Like for example, I've only put text here, right? But I can actually add a link. Let's find a link to Stable Diffusion. Okay, there's a Wikipedia page, right? There was a Wikipedia page. Yeah, Stable Diffusion has a Wikipedia page. I'm going to put a link to Stable Diffusion's Wikipedia page. Got it?
Got it.
Yeah. Also,
Andre Zakahaz is asking, Bard uses OpenAI GPT?
Bard does it? OpenAI's GPT? Does it? I'm not sure.
It's not. No, Bard uses
Google. Because they are competing with Google. Yeah, Google and OpenAI.
So if it is using it, we don't know, right? That's the thing. It's only speculation.
Yeah, but Google don't say.
Yeah.
But I do think they are not using because they are competing.
Here, I forgot something, but because right now, Pedro won't complain. Code generation, Copilot, tab 9. Can you think of any more? You forgot.
I forgot. Oh yeah, your diff blow, Zach. Yeah.
I would say test generation. It may sound different because code generation sounds more like implementation code, right? But well, tell you what, because I'm in a good mood, I'm going to say, why don't we create another branch called test generation and then put diff blue there. Have you guys heard of diff blue?
There are so many tools already.
Yeah.
Now, see, they are not all of them are not tools. Like, for example, this is a classification. There's a difference, right? That's a classification. This is a classification.
Just about the Google Bard. Google Bard uses its own large language model, named Language Model for Dialogue Applications, LaMDA, instead of the GPT series.
Okay, so are there other tools that you know of that uses LaMDA? Oh, come on. My keyboard's not.
LaMDA. Right? No, without the B.
LaMDA. Sorry,
LaMDA.
Yeah, correct. I think this is capital, right? I'm forgetting, or M is capital. Something like that. So that Bard comes under that. Are there other ones? I think Facebook did something.
Max asked here, do you remember the website that uses AI to analyze core repository?
Ooh.
Yeah, let me find it here.
Okay. So you see how everybody's knowledge is playing a little bit of a role in building this up.
Hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Did
And I'm correcting my own
mind
knowledge
mapping
because
is
I don't know anything. So there is one more thing. Oh, I'm looking at my own screen. Sorry.
Use
I'm not sure if it's
adrenaline.com.
under GPT or it may be under. It may be under. Yeah, I think this might be right. LLMs and Lambda are connected.
Yeah, LLMs we can talk. Then we can say like GPT 3.5, GPT 4, right?
Yeah, so that means I'll have to reorganize it, right? I'm just looking for lambdas versus chat LLMs.
Some weeks ago I shared with Maximilian an interesting tool called Adrenaline.
Mm.
It understands any code base with AI. You put a link to a code base, a GitHub code base, for example, and then you can ask questions about this code base. It's really interesting.
I see. Adrenaline, is it?
Yeah, Adrenaline. Yeah, like that. Use Adrenaline.
Max is asking about the acronym of LLM in AI, and it is it means large language models. Next,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, correct.
So good. Thank you for doing the homework for us because we are lazy. We don't type. So where would you classify this adrenaline under a lambda?
Lambda is an LLM. Yeah. GPT-4 is an LLM.
Great. So
Oh, this use Adrenaline. Sorry.
yeah. So
Use
GPT.
good question. I
So
think it is
GPT
a
is
GPT. Use Adrenaline is a GPT.
is that classification correct now? Given all the things we've said, we said
I would.
generative models, LLMs come under that, image generation comes under that.
Mhm.
Under LLM, you have GPT and you have Lambda, and they probably might be the same thing. Or actually, they may not be because Bard is a Lambda based, whereas others are GPT based.
Yeah, most of them, right? I
Right.
don't know.
So we might be more on the right path with this. Anyways, we can always come back and correct it. But can we see where it started off? AI to generative models.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we need more tools. So let me ask a question. When we are working on, let's put AI at the side for the moment because AI is a huge ocean. When we are working with open source, for example, what tools do we use? What comes to mind? What are the tools that are recommended? If we start with that, then we can do some justice on the tool side. Because if you see, open source and tools are lagging, whereas AI has already gone 3 or 4 levels, right? So let's do some justice to IDE tools, open source, and stuff like that. So
So,
I know
by regarding to the
somebody said
open source,
Jakarta. I'm going to put Jakarta here because that way Max is happy and
Yeah.
we'll not. Yeah. So,
JNoSQL to make Max even more happy.
okay, is that part under Jakarta?
Yes, under Jakarta. Let's
Is it,
Max answer that.
or is it a separate project on its own?
Oh,
oh,
no.
He doesn't know. Well,
Yeah,
you know,
let's wait for Max answer that.
come on, I cannot forget my Graal VM.
so since we are talking about open source, let me call a person that is specialist in open source and also Java champion. Hey, Bruno, how are you?
Oh, Bruno is here.
Hey, hello everyone.
Bruno, we are doing some mind mapping. Join us. Welcome.
Yes. So hey Pedro, hey Hugo, hey Money. Good to
Hello,
have you.
How's it
Bruno.
going?
So JNoSQL is a project by itself, but also it's under Jakarta, right? It's the first Jakarta is the first Jakarta AE specification that started under the new model for Jakarta AE. So
Cool.
So you're right.
So you came at the right time, Bruno. You need to help us populate the tools section of this
Yeah.
mind map.
Andres is here in LinkedIn. He's saying Hibernate.
Yes, we can put
under
Hibernate.
Java.
Yeah.
He say MetaSen for image segmentation.
Wait. Let's do Hibernate first. MetaSen for image segmentation.
Yeah.
So that comes under computer vision.
So Max is completing here. JNoSQL is a reference implementation for the Jakarta NoSQL spec. Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Oh,
So
yeah.
computer vision, image segmentation, what was it called, the tool?
MetaSen.
MetaSen.
Yeah, Sam.
SAM. Okay, MetaSample. Okay. Just so that we don't alienate people, I will write the full forms wherever I remember and wherever I can. That's what CV is.
Yeah.
right?
And Andrews is asking some interesting question. GPT goes under LLM, right?
Well, I'm not an expert in this, but we need to figure out this section here. So generative models, and we need to figure out if this classification is correct. And so far it is. If somebody can Google and check if what we are saying here is correct. If not, please help us correct it. And it'll take us a few seconds for us to reorganize this tree. And that'll help all of us. So here we are thinking this is our mind model, or mental model, sorry, of what we think about generative models, whether they're broken into two pieces, classifications, and GPT is one, Lambdas is the other, and maybe LLMs and Lambdas are a separate thread on their own. You know, they could be separate. So if someone can look at this and check it for us while we are doing the what is it called, tool section, that'll be really great. But that's a good question. It's good to question what we've done here, because we are not all right.
Yeah,
and the whole purpose of doing mind mapping is to also correct our own mental model of things.
Yeah, but if the question is if GPT is LLM, yes, GPT is an LLM. That's correct.
Yeah, GPT is an LLM. Yes. Okay,
Right.
that was a question.
Yes,
Okay,
that's the question.
sorry,
Yes.
I thought there was a question about correctness of it. Yeah, GPT is an LLM.
Yes, right. So this is correct.
Cool. All right. Come on, name some tools on the open source.
So about
Things that we
anything or specific thing. So
no, anything. Say. Okay, I'll make it easy for everyone. When we were talking about doing this, we were thinking, if we want to help our audience, the current and the future audience who will be watching this video later on, and want to help them in enable them to pick up only those tools that they need to learn, but the fundamental tools they need to learn and use to get into the world of open source and to thrive in there, right? You don't need to know all of them, but you need to know the basic ones that we all know on this call. So let's call up those names first, and then let the audience come with more names. Okay, and that would be at least 80% complete, right?
Right. Okay. So in terms of developers, right? I think that if we're gonna get into I mean, we gotta do containers, right? So I would say Kubernetes and Docker have to be there.
Yeah, containers.
Yes, can say containers and put both of them there. They have to be, right?
Yeah.
So these days I've heard something else, and they are similar to it's similar to Kubernetes. In fact, it has got a little bit more advantage than Kubernetes. We can go into the details later on. Funnily, both of these use Docker containers.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll again go into this at another session. Okay, so containers, yeah, that's a good call.
Mm-hmm. Linux.
What else?
Yeah.
Operating systems.
I was gonna say I'm not sure if Linux itself, but at least Bash, right? I think that's
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bash.
Knowing the command line, that's important.
Oh, so shell scripting.
Yeah, shell scripting, that's fundamental.
Exactly. And so
and
you have multiple flavors, but I recommend these two at least.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, Bash. That's good. So and you can't do anything in the cloud if you don't know how to do SSH.
Yes,
SSH for sure.
Yeah, okay, so Linux tools, Unix Linux tooling. Mm-hmm. So let's put this Unix Linux. We'll make it as one because they're almost I don't want to start a debate here now. They're not the same, but they're similar within reasons. Okay, there are differences, but we won't go into them. So SSH, yes.
Mm-hmm.
What about SFTP?
Andres is saying under containers Podman.
Podman.
Yeah,
not heard of it, but sounds like it's upcoming.
And Danilo Pereira is saying OpenShift.
OpenShift.
OpenShift is good. Yeah.
So OpenShift is more than containers.
Yeah.
So we need to
think it's more like a cloud.
Yeah, but I think I would put under containers part. I understand.
Yeah, for now. Yeah, for now. Yes, because in that sense, Kubernetes is actually not containers. I'll tell you actually, good that we brought this up. And now I can write orchestration tools.
Yes.
And that will contain all these other things. You see,
right.
Kubernetes is an orchestration tool. Nomad is an orchestration tool. OpenShift is an orchestration tool. And I think Podman, I don't know it very well, sounds like it's open. And they all use Docker to do the containerization.
Yeah. Right. And Andrew send the link for
So under orchestration tools, you can have containers.
Right.
Because containers on their own, the moment you spin off a container, you're orchestrating it. Whereas then there are the other tools that orchestrate. Okay, so that's, if you all agree, that's good.
And Max is right. The OpenShift is a Kubernetes orchestrator. So you can even
so it's under orchestration tools.
No, but you can even put OpenShift under Kubernetes if you want to, or vice versa. So I'm not sure if necessary.
Yeah. So, but right. In that sense, so they all see. I can also have links right to them. We showed earlier.
Look, the thing that I object on that. I although it's totally correct, right? So classifications, we can do different things, but the thing that I object is developers. They don't usually worry about orchestration tools. They use them, right? And it's part of the thing, right? But I think from the point of view of developers, we think about containers, and under the notion of containers, we have orchestration tools. So I would put this under containers and then orchestration tools underneath containers. But
actually, you're right. Let's put this under tools and let's have the orchestration tools separate.
Right? Okay, that's good. Yes, that's good.
Yeah, because this orchestration tool. See, developers do need to know the two of these at least, Kubernetes and Nomad. OpenShift becomes a little bit more involved, right? Because OpenShift then starts doing orchestration of orchestration. I'm not an expert in this, but as a developer, I have used more of this Nomad, Docker, Kubernetes, and rarely have come across OpenShift closed. So it's a thing to know, but as you suggested, not the first thing for the developer to know. Okay, what more do we need to know? There's lots under scripting language, operating system. What about CI/CD things? We have not talked about it at all.
Yeah, just one point. Andres said Pod means an orchestration tool too.
Oh, it is. I was thinking it is, and I wasn't sure, so let's put it there. Good. So there you have, Bruno. Your objection has been sustained. Docker remains under containers. Doesn't go anywhere else.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Podman, from what Peter's saying here, Podman is it might be an orchestration to itself, right? Is that what you guys talking about right there?
Yeah. So somebody
Yeah.
confirmed it's a Podman is an orchestration tool.
Right. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So you now have Docker on its own, and learning Docker means then you'll be able to operate, not necessarily one will, but aspects of Docker are playing a role in all of these other orchestration tools.
For sure.
Docker is like one of the containerization systems used. Good. Should we move to CI/CD? Yeah. So there's a whole world of it, right? You have the first thing that comes to mind, which everybody should these days know, GitHub Actions.
Yeah, but
the first one comes to my mind is Jenkins.
Yeah,
Jenkins.
Andrew said the same here.
Yes, Jenkins has to be there. There's no way.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, I was trying to be a bit modern. So
that's okay.
I remember the Hudson. Yeah, I used the
Hudson. Okay. Hudson. So Hudson. Jenkins is the new name of Hudson.
No, Hudson doesn't exist anymore. I haven't heard anyone mention it. Don't confuse people.
There are no.
Don't confuse people. Just for the know
even the oldest version of the least that exists there now is an older version of Jenkins. No Hudson exists anymore. Okay, good one. What else?
GitLab CI.
Yeah, GitLab CI. What else is in the open source world?
Travis CI, Andrew said he.
Yeah.
I never used this.
Yeah, so are we doing open source or general? That's a good question, but
so this is tools. This is tools that you would use. You would need to know. Okay, so then I don't think it'll be this because that wouldn't be in an open source. Yeah, these are tools you would come across or need to know or would use when you're involved in an open source project.
Right. I would say task containers is another one that should be there.
Where would you put that under? CI/CD because it falls under.
Well, maybe we could do testing as a separate one or testing under CI/CD. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Testing. Oh, sorry. Testing. Yeah, perfect. There you go.
Yeah, here Max added some comment here around Podman, and I think he's right. Podman is a container engine, so and it's used by Kubernetes. As far as I know, it is. So I think it's under containers together with Docker.
Under containers, not under Kubernetes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, under containers. Yeah, exactly.
No. So Max says Docker helped create the OCI spec, and Podman use the OCI spec to run containers. So it's not a container itself. Yeah. It's right. It was an orchestration tool. I mean, you guys are moving. That's okay.
Yeah, I think let's keep it as orchestration. See, there is an overlap.
Yes.
Although Docker is the fundamental unit that plays a role in all of these, right? Although Docker is not the only thing, it's a container system that they choose to use. They can be configured probably to use another container system if someone wishes to. So let's keep the separation and let's keep it simple as well. It doesn't have to be exact and accurate.
Right. Cool. Classification are going to have different visions anyway, so that's okay.
Yeah. But at the moment, we're just trying to make it easy for us to come up with an idea of what tools people should know to survive in the open source world. I think there's more than this, right? Is this good enough?
That's it. Well,
the funny thing is we forget when we are not thinking about it, but when we start working on a project, we remember immediately.
Yeah.
Package manager.
Good start for.
Package managers would be language specific, platform specific, right? That's a hard one to talk about.
I mean, do you actually need a package? You can have some build managers, right? So Packs, for example, can build things for all kinds of package managers. That would be a good one to have.
So there's one thing I usually like to have. I'm going to classify it somewhere. Virtual machine systems.
Yeah, so Max saying that Docker can be considered an orchestration tool as well. He has Docker Swarm, right? So I would say Docker Swarm is an orchestration tool.
Yep.
Yeah. And actually, yeah, so.
That's right, Docker Swarm. Talking of that, is your Docker working, Bruno?
Sorry?
Is your Docker working on your local machine? I remember the last time you had some issues with it.
Yeah, no, I'm preparing for my trip, man.
Okay.
You think about something else.
Okay, no worries. I'll leave that as it.
Yeah, I'll have to get this as an exercise for next time, right? So, what since you just made me remember that, if there's anyone from Europe here, I hope to see you starting next week, right? So, starting next week, I'm going to be in Europe, right? So hopefully I can see as many of you guys as possible.
Under virtual machine, you could say Hyper-V.
Yeah, exactly. I was coming to that. You familiar with these tools under SHA, under security?
For sure.
Hyper-V, yeah. So these are really useful because then you can spin these off automatically. So what would you say? Vagrant and Ansible, what do they come under?
Virtual machine or
Terraform, Vagrant, and Ansible, because they are. Would you call them under CI/CD? No, they can't be CI/CD. They're more infrastructure. Sorry, yeah. So they'll be infrastructure, right?
They say infrastructure as a code, right? So
yes. That will be Terraform. What did he say?
Vagrant.
Ansible. Vagrant.
Puppet,
yes. Puppet is actually Java based.
No, Puppet is Python based, right?
No, it's Java based. Puppet, I remember this because it is Java based. So Ansible and Vagrant are Ruby based. Okay, security. What else do we have in security?
So
Vault.
Yeah, so Max saying Vagrant, Virtual VM.
Yeah, Virtual VM. VMware I wrote.
He's talking about Oracle Virtual VM.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yes, Masahiro.
Hey, Masahiro.
Yeah, Masahiro's talking about Chef.
Chef, yes, we forgot Chef.
Yes, I forgot about Chef. I haven't heard of Chef. Chef is Python based, right?
Yes. Let's see. Let's correct our Terraform coding language. Let's correct our.
Is Auth0 open source?
Don't know. Keycloak.
Keycloak. Security, yeah.
What was it saying? Sorry.
Max suggests
Keycloak.
And then you guys mentioned Keycloak.
Yeah, Keycloak. Very good. See, so you do agree this is now a tool of importance, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are some more. One something. What is that thing you use to sign? So it signs in through it. We use it as well. I forget.
Firewall.
No.
Which one?
It creates all the sign-ons for you and it manages the passwords in your through the browser. I forget it. We use it regularly.
It's wording.
LastPass.
Yes.
No, so those are different. This is more like if you have an organization and you have various
Okta.
things like email, and you want to manage that in one dashboard, but you also want it to manage the passwords, generate the passwords, remember it, and store it for you, but also give you a dashboard where you can click on it and it'll internally pick up the password. I forget the name.
Okta.
Yes, that is it.
So
Yeah,
Max,
I use Okta here.
Masahiro suggests a VirtualBox.
VirtualBox.
Yes.
Did I not say VirtualBox somewhere?
VirtualBox. I think it is.
That is Oracle VirtualBox.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then Max also mentioned GWT. That's for security, right? That's the
yes.
JWT.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Developers need to know JWT.
For sure.
What else? Compression, anything in compression, developers need to know. Anything with caching, developers need to know.
Caching.
Yeah.
Redis.
There is Hazelcast.
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 Redis cache. Oh, sorry.
So one I'm thinking here about, I'm trying to think about everything that we have to think about. So one of the things is database, right? So you guys.
Database.
Yes, we missed out that.
So database and the one I'm thinking here is Flyway. Database migrations. So
yes, there's one more Flyweight, and there's one more.
It's Flyway, not
H2.
Flyway.
H2.
H2.
H2 is a database, right?
There's Liquibase. That's also
Liquibase.
Yeah, Liquibase. There's in that space there are two. There's Liquibase and there's one more. And then just like Flyweight, you have also one more that is. Actually, Flyweight and Liquibase are similar, right?
Yeah.
What's that system? I think it's H2 based. That on the fly it generates the database. It's like Flyweight. There's H2 and there's one more.
Well, I mean, Liquibase and Flyway are similar.
Yeah, exactly. So Liquibase and Flybase are database versioning system, right?
Yes. But,
right.
they do create database on the fly if you need to, right? So
yes.
Yeah.
But they're mainly used for database versioning.
Yes, in migration.
Yeah.
So Max went crazy here with SQL, NoSQL database, right? So Couchbase, SQLite, Cassandra.
All right, we'll do that. NoSQL, and then you have.
So Vanya asks, Bruno, are you going to Google I/O Connect? So Vanya, I'm gonna look. Is it gonna be in Europe?
Alembic.
I'm not coming to that one, but let me see when it is, and if I could maybe.
Cool. So NoSQL, you have what? Cassandra, Redis,
MongoDB.
Mongo. Let's name the popular ones. Couchbase, yeah, Mongo.
Amazon Dynamo.
Couchbase. Amazon Dynamo. What about the non NoSQL ones?
Postgre.
You're forgetting Oracle DB. No, Oracle is
MySQL.
DB2.
Let me just answer. Yeah. So Vanya, I look here that Google I/O Connect is in Amsterdam on the 21st. So I'm going to be close because on the 21st, I'm going to be on JSpring in Utrecht, right? So if you are close by, Vanya, if you're near Amsterdam, near Utrecht, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be on the JavaScript group Utrecht on the 20th, on JSpring on the 21st, and on JCon in Cologne on the 22nd. So I'm gonna be around. If you're close by, that would be great.
Which months? This month?
This month, right? Yes.
Oh,
Next
wow.
week. Next week.
Right. Wow, that's close. And when are you coming to Birmingham, you said?
I'm coming to Birmingham in July 17, I think, or 13, something like this.
Oh, wow. So are you staying here in Europe for the next few weeks?
Yeah, I travel on the 18th and only come back on the 25th of the next month.
Wow. Pedro, Hugo, there's a chance for you to fly with Bruno. Try to compress yourself into his suitcase.
Right. I did invite, man. You know, when we started saying, I said, if anyone want to come with me, right? It's a crazy trip.
So that's very kind of Vanya to invite you to Google I/O, but you might want to ask her if she's still going to be in a hometown or she's going to be going to all of these places.
No. See, so I'm just saying to Vanya, if you are in Amsterdam, I'm not coming to Google I/O, right? But I'm assuming you're talking about Google I/O Amsterdam because that's the one. If you are near Amsterdam, and I think Utrecht is just like a 1 hour away or something like this. Maybe we meet.
Okay, what are the databases we can think of? I think there's a lot on the old world.
Masahiro and Max are putting lots of things here. Postgres, it's open source. Yes, it is, Max. Masahiro is talking about HBase. That's also
HBase, Apache HBase.
Max mentioned Derby. It's a memory database. Yeah, so similar to H2. So
actually, Derby is an old version of H2, as far as I remember.
Vanya is in Canada, so you're not coming to Europe, Vanya. Is that right? So Vanya, so here's the thing. I want to come to Canada, right? I cannot believe I have not been to Canada yet. So.
There's a Java user group in Canada. Find a connection there.
I'm actually in contact with them, so to make something. So maybe later this year, Vanya, or next year, right? So.
Yeah. Well, actually, I will be in Canada in August.
Oh, cool.
So I'm looking to find any groups there if we can meet.
I can introduce. Actually, there's several groups there. I can introduce you to them. So
yeah, I'll be mostly in Vancouver.
And Sebastian, we have Sebastian that I think you know him. It's restarting the group from Ottawa. So
Ottawa, cool. Yeah, I mostly will be in Toronto and Vancouver.
Cool. All right.
Okay, so what about logging tools? We never talked about it.
Logging tools? Oh, logging. Oh.
Yeah, let's think open source tools. Need to know tools. You need to know whether they're open source or not to thrive in an open source project. I think these are good enough. There's plenty actually. If you know a little bit of all of these, you're going to fly in any project, right? Because you don't need to know and be an expert in any of these tools to do a project. So I think we did quite a bit on tools. Let's do a little bit more on open source. Or I suggest this: we put we draw a line here, and we can continue with the open source one specifically in another session. We only have 5 minutes, or maybe we can have a little bit more. Maybe that's good enough time for our friend Hugo to show his toy that he's been working on for some time. Is that good, Hugo? 10 minutes?
I think it's better to for the next session. Maybe it would be great to talk about. Yeah,
good idea. We could do the open source section and also your tool in the next session. Maybe we could wrap this up now. So I'm happy to create a PDF version of this or an image of it and share it with everybody on Twitter.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So yeah, and we will continuously develop this further. so we can like.
Well, one interesting thing, Manny, we talk about so many things in this conversation here, right? So if we had that, even if it's not showing, right? But every time that we mention a tool that we add there somewhere, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's the purpose of this as well. To we always talk about things, and we talk, and when we talk, we don't specify the level of abstraction, right? Like we could be talking about, say, JWT, but then we also talk about something more specific like Lucubase, and then we'll talk something about, like, we'll say something about security, but they're all different levels of abstraction, right? When we download that information onto something like a mind map, we can actually see the classification, rough classification, where they stand, sure, and what is the distance, right? Yeah. So they're all not the same when we're talking. There, we bring everything on the same level of abstraction, and then we don't do justice to the topics. So good point here. We could start doing that, and that will help all of us, even myself. I'm not, by no stretch, I am an expert in knowing which is coming under which category here. But I learn about them by doing this mind mapping. Cool. Should I hand this over to Hugo and Pedro and Bruno to do the closing? Thank you very much, all of you, for chiming in and doing the mobbing that we've done and created this fantastic mind map. It's now up to me how I export this and share it with the rest of you.
Perfect, Manny. Thank you very much.
I'm going to stop sharing now, so you guys get a focus on it. In the meanwhile, I will start trying to export this.
Well, what about we share our books, Hugo? What do you think?
Yeah, I think we can go jumpstart to the sharing session. So let me just place here, guys. So that was a very interesting exercise here to revisit many tools, discover many tools, and mind mapping is a great way to actually organize those things and see how much we have to know about them, even when it's not specifically about the topic like AI. There are many other things that is around that we come up discovering, right? So yeah, that was amazing. Before going to the books, I really enjoyed that people here on the chat, they interacted and contributed with the tools. It was amazing to have some new things to know. So actually, how we can go here? Can I start sharing my book?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, by going through these tools, I think this is a great one. Great a great book to share. Actually, it is about architecting foundations for architecting data solutions. They are managing successful data projects. It was very interesting book to visit some cool tools that we use inside our data-driven solutions. So that was very interesting. A very short one to really give you this quick shot over the topic. It is interesting because every AI project that you want to work, there will be a lot of data to work together. So it will be very useful for anyone that is coming from another field and need to have a quick overview about this kind of architectures that is used for this kind of solutions. So that's my take for today. How about you? Who wants to go next?
May I? So
go ahead.
Well, I add here. I'm sharing in the DDD quickly ebook. This is a mini book as the info created by InfoQ, guys. It's a fantastic abstract about DDD. So DDD is something that everybody must know if you want to know about microservices or if you want to understand about hexagonal architectures or clean architectures. So this is very, very important. And this is a really small book, so you can have it like to to remember all the patterns, everything. So it's free. Okay, so you can just download it.
Nice. This is
Cool.
good.
Very good. Very good. So I'll go next, if you don't mind, Bruno, while still looking for one
Yes.
on your desktop or on your bookshelf, whichever is easily accessible to it. So I'm sharing this book called Practical Time Series Forecasting by Manu Joseph. Simply because of two reasons. I know the author, Manu, for some time. He's extremely talented and he's very well versed with this topic. And he spent a lot of time researching it. I have reviewed his book, not to its entirety, but quite a few chapters. And I'm also reading the book very slowly. And so I highly recommend reading this book because he's gone through lots of research that you wouldn't want to do or need to do. And now you get the modern techniques and tools that you need to know about managing and manipulating and processing time series data. And time series data is fairly important and also highly complex and hard to manage and understand. And so he's made it all easy, made it very practical because he searched all the tools, all his lessons, exercises, and the way he structured the book is really, really good. I highly recommend reading the book and sharing with others. It's a packed publications, so you can easily access the PDFs. And along with the book, he's also given a whole set of GitHub repository exercises and notebooks.
Cool.
Bruno, do you have some book to share today?
Yes, I have. I'm just trying to get a link here to the specific one.
No, Bruno has been writing the book in the last 30 minutes so that he can share it here.
I'm actually look. I'm looking forward to share with you guys my book. Right? It's gonna happen eventually, right? But
are you writing a new book, Bruno? Are you telling us about it?
I'm writing a new book. Yes. Okay. So I can see the one I'm talking about here on the Brazil Amazon page. So, and then I'm gonna just use this one here because it just looks gorgeous. All right. So sorry, it's gonna be in the Brazil Amazon page, but you can find. All right. So here's my book. I said today I want to share this book here. It's not a computer book, but it's a geek book, right? And I think that's so important because I'm coming to Europe, right? And I'm coming to England, and that's a book by Douglas Adams, and the More Than Complete Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. You know, this particular edition is totally gorgeous. It's like leather bound. You know, the page is like this. It's like gold line in here. I mean, not gold, right? Just kind of. It's awesome, right? This particular one here is mine. Is very old, but anyway, this book is awesome, right? That's where a lot of reference for geeks and nerds are coming from. So let me just put a link here on our chat so you guys can share that. This one here. So that's the link for this version here. That's leather bound. It's pretty nice. I just found it in the Brazilian Amazon. Anyway, this book is awesome. It's very, very funny. It's actually the only book that I've seen my whole life where you read a paragraph and the end of the paragraph, it says that you read it wrong, and you go back and you realize you did read it wrong. So,
wow.
And so, you know, it's a very, very, very good, interesting book. And, you know, it's spawned a lot of science fiction reference and everything. 42 comes from it, right? So is the answer for the 42 is the answer to the question of the universe and everything, right? The life, universe, and everything. Right. So 42 is the answer to that. So anyway, that book is great. I do recommend. It's I was actually talking to a friend of ours the other day. We had a friend that came here to visit this past week, and he was telling me that, you know, he only read technical books, right? So he never liked it to read stories and books like this. And then I think he got as a gift, or maybe he bought the Lord of the Rings, and his wife told him, said, oh, you're never going to read this. So he's like, oh, now I'm going to read it. and so he enjoyed so much. And I'm telling this story because I think that, if you are like many of us, that we kind of get stuck in just reading technical books, it is good to read some other things, to have fun reading. So I do recommend, I'm always reading something. I have my Kindle, and I have lots and lots of books there. So I do recommend you guys to go read. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is an awesome one if you want to do that. Very big, as you can see, really big book, right? But actually, this is like 5 books. Actually, this one here, I think like 5 or 6 books in this one here. So I do recommend, great book to read.
Cool, really cool. Yeah, that's true. If we get only on technical books, maybe you got tired, and that's I also agree with you, Bruno. That's amazing tip for the readers. And yeah, so that's it for today. We have our session. I hope you enjoyed our today's session, today's exercise, and yeah, hope to see you guys on the next session. So see you, everyone. Thanks.
I really enjoy, guys. So thanks for doing the mind map. I love mind maps, and I really love that you guys are doing this. I really enjoy participating, and that was a great idea. So thanks, everyone.
We might continue next week as well, the next session. So please come. All right, take care, guys. Have a nice one.
Yeah.
I will be sharing the mind map soon on Twitter.
Sure.
Cool.
Perfect.